Greetings, colleagues and fellow scholars. Dr. Izad here with a new addition to my project-based learning video series. In this series, I outline various ways in which technology can be used to create experiences that contextualize content-related skills within the various professional domains in which those skills can be applied. Previous videos have explained the arenas of website creation and video game design using Google Sites and the Unity game design engine respectively. And if you are interested in checking them out, you can click on the cards that link to those videos here. But this video will focus on applications that are a bit more rudimentary, but still have much utility in many different professional fields.
The aforementioned project choices of which I had previously made mention apply to quadrants B and D of the Rigor and Relevance framework, as they involve intradisciplinary connections and synthesis of skills, and level 5 of the application model, as the description of level 5 posits that students are to apply skills to new and unknown situations. The previous two activities meet the standards posed by this framework, as students, through those activities, are learning content-related skills as well as hard technical skills and seeing how one can integrate them both to accomplish tasks one might encounter in different professional fields. And though the technical hard skills developed through the project options that my assignments afford students allow students to be exposed to complex or more advanced types of software, many still opt to choose what they perceive to be the path of least resistance, and either select the typed response or slideshow. And though these are more rudimentary activities that involve more basic types of software or applications, namely Google Docs and Google Slides, there are still opportunities for students to build hard technical skills that, in conjunction with various content-related skills, can be applied to various scenarios one might encounter in different professional fields. Specifically, proficiency with these applications lend themselves to presenting findings of research one might want to publish or present during a speaking engagement, both of which would require using the tools of each program to organize information and to display multimedia elements to enhance one's ability to make or exemplify key points. And as you can see, there are many professional fields in which research and presentation of research findings would be applicable, and albeit this would be expected in careers that involve the hard sciences, such as the ones listed, other careers that are not typically associated with the hard sciences also have applications for research and presentations. The field of cosmetology, for instance, has need for pioneers in the field that are willing to do research to make advancements in the field or address any issues associated with practices in the field, and that is what schools should promote of students, being pioneers. Speaking of pioneers, some of them even create their own products and present their products at symposiums, such as the International Aesthetics, Cosmetics, and Spa Conference. One such a pioneer is Camille Calvé, who, as you can see from her Twitter bio, is a makeup artist turned CEO of her own cosmetics company. Part of her claim to fame is her founding of these medical-grade silicone pads that reduce the appearance of wrinkles, and she promotes her product during the conferences at which she presents. And these presentations may require some claims being made and justification of those claims, along with multimedia elements to enhance her ability to demonstrate the validity of her claims about her product to convince the consumer to invest in it. As such, some of these learning standards may be applicable, and in any given field, even the ones in which it may not be expected, such content-related skills and hard technical skills would be utilized in order to make progress and gain upward mobility in any given field. Once again, this is what educational institutions should be encouraging amongst students, to essentially be the Neil deGrasse Tysons or Steve Jobses of their respective fields. And if that is their aim, the technical skills associated with Google Docs and slides that I am about to show you, coupled with content-related skills, will be applicable. We shall begin with skills associated with Google Docs for the purposes of research writing. When composing a research paper, there are some more advanced skills that students would have to be familiar with in terms of formatting for the table of contents page, which, given the length of most research papers, should automatically update and take one to a given section of the paper on a click, as well as forming tables and figures, etc. And there are some more foundational skills that students must have with respect to line spacing and page orientation. Let's begin with that. So the paper will have to be double-spaced in a size 12 times New Roman font, if we are adhering to APA format. In order to double-space the text, you would go to Format, and this drop-down menu will appear. And from that drop-down, you will go to Line and Spacing, and then click Double, and you'll see that everything is now double-spaced. And if you want to change the font, you'll go here, go to Times New Roman, and you can change the font size here. And if you want to make any part of the response single-spaced, you would follow the same process for double spacing, but instead of clicking double, you would click single. And you'll see that the content on the title page is already center justified, but if you want to do that, click on this drop-down here, and then click on the orientation that you want. Now, research papers tend to be long and contain many different sections. As such, the students will have to generate a table of contents page, so each section can be found easily by their reader, and also so they can access a certain section easily if they find that they have to edit or add to that section. Consequently, it would be beneficial for them to know how to generate a table of contents page that automatically updates. And in order to do that, we'll need to know how to do two things: create the pagination and use headings. In order to establish the pagination, students will go to Insert and then go to Page Numbers. They will see that this menu on the side appears, providing them with the basic formats for the page with respect to where the page numbers will appear, either the top right or bottom right, and with or without the page number appearing on the first page. And you can go to More Options, and from here you can have the pagination begin from a page other than page number 1, if you need to do so for any reason, such as having the contents page denoted by Roman numerals and every page henceforth denoted by numbers. But right now, we'll have the page appear in the header at the top right and uncheck Show on First Page, as APA format would indicate that the first page should not contain a visible page number on the documents. Now that we have the pagination established, we can begin to create our table of contents that automatically updates. And to do that, we will need to use the headings feature on Google Docs. So what we'll do is we'll go to a section of the text, and we'll highlight the title of that text to apply a heading to it. And then I'm going to apply a heading to it. You'll see that there are different types of headings, and there is a specific reason for that, as I will demonstrate. I'll make this a heading 2, since this is the abstract, and you'll see why when you see how the different types of headings are formatted in the table of contents page. Now we'll have to adjust the font of this heading 2, so let's manually change it back to a Times New Roman size 12 font. This is the only time you'll have to do that for any section's heading that will be designated by a heading 2. As you see, when I move to apply the heading 2 to the acknowledgments section of my research paper, I can simply click on this option for heading 2, and the heading is applied, and the font remains a size 12 times New Roman. Now let's go on to apply a heading to Chapter 1. Since this heading is to designate the beginning of a new chapter in my research paper, I will apply a different type of heading, and that will be heading 1. And, as you'll see, I'll have to adjust the font once more, so every subsequent time I apply a heading 1 to a section, it will automatically apply the format that I have applied to the first heading 1 when we select the option to update heading 1 to match option, as I previously did with heading 2. But for now, let's go to the page after the title page, and go to Insert, and go to Table of Contents, and select the option for which the page numbers will appear to the far right of the titles of the corresponding sections. And when we do that, you will see that each section that we have applied headings to appears, and the page number on which those headings appear in the paper are denoted on the side. Notice how the heading for Chapter 1 appears differently than the other headings. That is because we applied a heading 1 to it instead of a heading 2. It stands out more as it denotes the beginning of a chapter, whereas the section to which the heading 2s are applied denotes sections within the chapter. And after we repeat this process of applying headings to chapters and different titles of different sections throughout the paper, we can scroll back up to the Table of Contents page, click on the area containing the Table of Contents, and then click on this refresh icon. As you see, all of the extra sections to which we have applied headings now appear with their respective page numbers. And if, in the process of editing, a heading is pushed to another page, that will be reflected when the table of contents is refreshed as well. And now we can just format it how we want. And we have our table of contents. Now let's move on to creating multimedia elements that can be incorporated into the doc. Sometimes when communicating complex ideas, they may be better communicated in a visual that can be provided by a table. And as per APA guidelines, the use of lines in tables should be limited for the purposes of clarity. As such, we would want to make certain borders invisible, as I have done in this table. Notice how I sort of have two tables within one, and some of the labels repeat, but are denoting different information, as the information on each side of the table pertains to different groups of people. Notice how, by making certain border lines invisible, I have strategically used the border lines to create distinctions between the information provided pertaining the two groups. And you can do that by clicking within a cell, and then clicking on this arrow here. Right now, some of my borders are invisible, but I have the option of selecting one of them, say this right border here, and then clicking on this icon for the border color and making it black. By default, all sides of your table, when you insert a table, will be visible in black, but you can make them invisible by following the same process and selecting the white color. And you would repeat this process for any side of the table for which you will want the border to be invisible. You will also notice that I had to merge some cells in order to create some of the labels for certain portions of my table. Initially, this cell looked like this, but by highlighting both of the cells, right-clicking, and then clicking on Merge Cells, I was able to combine them to create a label to denote that the data for one group is displayed on this side of the table. Now, on to Google Slides. In actual contexts that can apply to various professional fields, Google Slideshows would be used to exemplify points being made when one is, say, presenting at a conference. And again, if students are going to be pioneers in whatever career path they choose, they are going to have to innovate within the context of that field, and that would involve discovering new implications for the field and sharing those implications with others. And when one is presenting his or her ideas, one purpose of the slideshow is to incorporate various multimedia elements that enhance or exemplify one's point. And one can do that by inserting multimedia elements into the presentation, such as videos, images, and graphs. Let's begin with inserting videos, which you can do by clicking Insert and going to Video. By default, Slides will present an option to type the name of the URL of a YouTube video, but you can also do that with videos that are on other websites or your drive. So if you have a video file that you want to include in the slideshow, you will have to upload that file to your Google Drive first. Anyway, you can also search for videos to upload by typing keywords. See how I type my name and my TEDx comes up. I'll just click on that, and you will see that it is now embedded into my slideshow. Notice how this video is also almost 12 minutes long. So what if there's only a segment of the video that I want to show to exemplify or enhance a point I want to make? Google Slides has a solution for that. On the right side here, underneath the option to have the video play either on a click or automatically, there are timestamps for when you want the video to begin and end. As such, I can cue the video so that only a certain segment of it plays when the slide is being displayed. as you can clearly see here. In addition to videos, you may want to insert images and even have a display of several images and get creative with the layout. By clicking Arrange, you can bring images either to the background or foreground. And say if we added another image and we wanted to move it all the way to the back or the front of the three images, you can use the Bring to Front and Bring to Back options to make the image either overlap all of the other images, no matter how many, or make the other images overlap it. And you can also alter the images in creative ways by going to Format Options. From there, if you go to Adjustments, you can alter the transparency of the images, among other things. There are other tools here you can use, such as the Recolor tool, to take an existing image and alter it in various ways to create a unique composition that will complement whatever point is being made. You can also insert other things, like charts that you may have formed from data sets on Google Sheets. A demonstration on how to do that on Sheets will be saved for another video. But, in any case, if one is presenting findings yielded from data they gathered or research they have conducted, and if they have that data ready in a visual form, they can import it onto their slideshow by going to Insert, Charts, from Sheets, and selecting the appropriate chart from the sheet. And here is how it would appear on the slide, complete with a legend and labels derived from the data sets on Sheets. And you can also insert pre-made editable diagrams, and you'll see that you have a variety of options from which to choose. And when you select one, you will see that you can edit the content therein. And it can be modified in a variety of other ways. And this is the case with any of the diagrams. Now, if you have ever had students do a slideshow as a project, you might have noticed that they have a tendency to treat it as though it is an essay in slide form, typing the entirety of their response on the slides themselves. That ought not be done, as the slideshow should act as a supplement to whatever one is saying when giving some type of oral presentation. As such, the content with respect to what they are saying should go down here in the speaker notes. Knowing how to use this would come in especially handy in distance learning settings, or in any context where you would have a screen in front of you, as you can use the presenter view to present the slideshow to your audience while being able to reference the speaker notes as you are speaking. Whereas the audience will only be seeing the slide, the presenter will have a side-by-side view with the speaker notes as the presenter toggles through each slide. This essentially acts as a good alternative to having index cards with you as you present. And speaking of distance learning settings, perhaps a student does not want to present live, but still wants to practice his or her oration skills and speak over the slides. They can do so by recording themselves and inserting the audio into each slide. Of course, audio can be inserted for a variety of reasons, and you would do this by going back to the Insert tab and selecting Audio. Then you would choose the appropriate audio file from your drive. And you can drag that play button to anywhere in the slide. If you want it to be out of the way, you may want to drag it into one of the corners there. And you have all of these options on the side to designate how and when to play the audio. I set it to automatically play, and you will see how it does so when I present. I have an unrelated audio of a heart beating, but you get the idea. So these are some of the more advanced tools on Google Docs and Slides that can be leveraged to complement content-related skills and place them in contexts that could be encountered in a variety of professional fields, especially if one wants to gain upward mobility. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. And if there are any other subjects or technologies that you would like to develop meaningful and purposeful classroom projects or assignments around, and you need ideas, please let me know in the comments below.